And that was the vision that guided me when I first ran for the United States Senate. That's the vision I shared when I said we are more than just a collection of red states and blue states. But we are the United States of America. And that vision is why, 9 years ago today, on the steps of the old state capitol just a few blocks from here, I announced my candidacy for president. Now, over these 9 years, I want you to know my faith in the generosity and the fundamental goodness of the American people has been rewarded and affirmed over and over and over again. I've seen it in the determination of auto workers who had been laid off but were sure that they could once again be part of a great, iconic American's industry. I've seen it in the single mom who goes back to school even as she's working, and looking after her kids because she wants a better life for that next generation. I've seen it the vision and risk-taking of small businessmen. I've seen it time and time again in the courage of our troops. But it's been noted often by pundits that the tone of our politics hasn't gotten better since I was inaugurated. In fact, it's gotten worse. That there's still this yawning gap between the magnitude of our challenges and the smallness of our politics. Which is why, in my final State of the Union address, and in the one before that, I had to acknowledge that one of my few regrets is my inability to reduce the polarization and meanness in our politics. I was able to be part of that here and yet couldn't translate it the way I wanted to into our politics in Washington. and people ask me why I've devoted so much time to this topic. And I tell them it's not just because I'm president, and the polarization and the gridlock are frustrating to me. The fact is we've gotten a heck of a lot done these past 7 years, despite the gridlock. We saved the economy from a depression. We brought back an auto industry from the brink of collapse. We helped our businesses create 14 million new jobs over the past 6 years. We cut the unemployment rate from 10% to 4.9%. We covered nearly 18 million more Americans with health insurance. We ignited a clean energy revolution. We got Bin Laden. We brought the vast majority of our troops home to their families. We got a lot done. We're still getting a lot done. And our political system helped make these things possible, and the list could go on. There's no doubt America is better off today than when I took office. I didn't want this to be a State of Union speech where we have the standing up and the sitting down. Come on, guys, you know better than that. No, 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 I've got a serious point to make here. I've got a serious point to make here because this is part of the issue, right? We have an importation of our politics nationally, and on cable and talk radio, and it seeps into everything. The point I'm trying to make is I care about fixing our politics not only because I'm the president today. Or because some of my initiatives have been blocked by Congress. That happens to every president. Happens to every governor, happens to everybody who participates, anybody who participates in a democracy. You're not going to get 100% of what you want all the time. The reason this is important to me is next year I'll still hold the most important title of all, and that's the title of citizen. And as an American citizen, I understand that our progress is not inevitable. Our progress has never been inevitable. It must be fought for, and won by all of us, with the kind of patriotism that our fellow Illinoisan Adlai Stevenson once described not as a short, frenzied outburst of emotion, but the tranquil and steady dedication of a lifetime. It requires citizenship and a sense that we are one. And today that kind of citizenship is threatened by a poisonous political climate that pushes people away from participating in our public life. It turns folks off. It discourages them, makes them cynical. And when that happens, more powerful and extreme voices fill the void. When that happens, progress stalls. And that's how we end up with only a handful of lobbyists setting the agenda. That's how we end up with policies that are detached from what working families face every day. That's how we end up with the well-connected who publicly demand that government stay out of their business but then whisper in its ear for special treatment. That's how our political system gets consumed by small things when we are a people that are called to do great things, to give everybody a shot in a changing economy, to keep America safe and strong in an uncertain world. to repair our climate before it threatens everything we leave for our kids. So that's what's on my mind as I come back to Illinois today. This is what will be a focus of mine over the course of this year and beyond. What can we do? All of us, together, to try to make our politics better? And I speak to both sides on this. As all of you know. It could be better, and all of you would feel prouder of the work you do if it was better. So, first, let's put to rest a couple of myths about our politics. One is the myth that the problems with our politics are new. They are not. American politics has never been particularly gentle or high-minded, especially not during times of great change. As I mentioned when I visited a mosque in Maryland last week. Thomas Jefferson's opponent tried to stir things up by suggesting he was a Muslim. So I'm in good company. But that's nothing compared to the newspaper which warned that if Jefferson were elected, murder, robbery, rape, adultery, and incest will be openly taught and practiced. His vice president, Aaron Burr, literally killed Alexander Hamilton in a duel. I don't even want to tell you what Andrew Jackson's opponents said about his mama. Lincoln, himself, was routinely called weak, wishy-washy, a yahoo, an unshapely man. The obscene ape of Illinois, and, my favorite, a facetious pettifogger. I don't know what that means, but it sounds insulting. So, comparatively speaking, today is not that bad as long as you've got a thick skin. As Harold Washington once said, politics ain't beanbag. It's tough. And that's okay. There's also the notion sometimes that our politics are broken because politicians are significantly more corrupt or beholden to big money than they used to be. There's no doubt that lobbyists still have easier access to the halls of power than the average. American. There's a lot of work that we need to do to make sure that the system works for ordinary people and not just the well-connected. That's true at the federal level, that's true at the state level. Folks aren't entirely wrong when they feel as if the system too often is rigged and does not address their interests. But, relative to the past, listen, I'm confident we've got enough rules and checks to prevent anyone in my cabinet from siphoning whiskey tax revenue into their own pockets like President Grant's administration did. Until FDR went after the ward bosses of Tammany Hall. They controlled judges and politicians as they pleased, patronage, bribery, and money laundering. It's not as easy as it was to whip up tens of thousands of phantom votes, whether in Chicago or South Texas. From the Teapot Dome to Watergate, history tells us we should always be vigilant. And demand that our public servants follow the highest ethical standards. But the truth is that the kind of corruption that is blatant, of the sort that we saw in the past, is much less likely in today's politics. And the Justice Department and the media work hard to keep it that. way. And that's a very good thing. So we don't want to romanticize the past and think somehow it's a difference in the people being elected. And it also isn't true that today's issues are inherently more polarizing than the past. I remember we endured 4 years of civil war that resulted in hundreds of thousands of dead Americans. This country was divided on a fundamental question. Before Pearl Harbor, entering into World War II was a highly charged debate. The fault lines of Vietnam. The culture wars of the 60s, they still echo into our politics a half-century later. We've been arguing since our founding over the proper size and role of government, the meaning of individual freedom and equality. Over war and peace, and the best way to give all of our citizens opportunity. And these are important debates that everybody should join, with all the rigor that a free people require. My point is, the problem is not that politicians are worse, the problem is not that the issues are tougher. And so it's important for us to understand that the situation we find ourselves in today is not somehow unique or hopeless. We've always gone through periods when our democracy seems stuck. And when that happens, we have to find a new way of doing business. We're in one of those moments. We've got to build a better politics, one that's less of a spectacle and more of a battle of ideas. One that's less of a business and more of a mission. One that understands the success of the American experiment rests on our willingness to engage all our citizens in this work.